What happens when a group of lifelong besties trades middle school crushes for midlife hot flashes? You get a lot of laughs, a little bit of venting, and a whole lot of heart. We've survived cross-country moves, career shifts, and changing jean sizes together. Now we're tackling the invisible years, from the frustration of medical mysteries to the joy of deep-rooted sisterhood. We're here to brainstorm, de-stress, and remind you that you aren't going through this alone. Because at the end of the day, we're more than just a support group. We are friends, period.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Friends, period. Pull up a chair and join us where nothing is off limits and everything is real. Just a quick note before we get going. As always, we are not professionals. We are not doctors. We are sharing just our own views, our own experiences. And we encourage you, if you want to try anything we talk about, if it's a supplement, or just make sure you check in with your doctor. We certainly will share our opinions, but take it with a grain of salt. So hello, ladies. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Wonderful.
Hello. Colleen, you are away. You are.
Yes, I'm on location tonight. Yeah, so I'm doing one of my favorite pastimes. I'm camping. So this is kind of a test run to see how the audio, the video, and all of that works being away in the woods. So things look a little different, sound a little different. That's why. That's my disclaimer.
And what exactly does that plate on the wall behind you say?
Oh, that's Happy Campers. So I like to do artsy craftskeeping too. So that's my cricket and my playtime with my arts and crafts. So yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And some of the friends that we camp with sometimes that we started our camper adventures with. So shout out to Dave and Miranda. Yeah, those are the Smiths part of it. Oh, I'm backwards. The Smiths part of the Native Smith Happy Campers. So
Awesome.
They're not with us today, so it's just the two of us in the woods right now. And tomorrow's going to be like 98 degrees or something where we are. So we're going to go find a river and ride some tubes down a cold river to stay cold and not pass out. So anyway, that's a lot about me. I'm Colleen. I'm glad you guys are listening. Everybody else, how was your week?
Yeah, my week has been pretty good. I don't know why this popped into my head, but I tried a new coffee shop yesterday, and I'm still thinking about the beverage that I got. It was so delicious.
Well, you do have to share that now because I may have to rip it off and serve it at my place. So what is this beverage?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So it was cold brew coffee on draft, but it was pre-blended. So when it came out of the draft, it was already pre-blended with oat milk and a salted honey syrup.
Wow, nice. It
was so good. I can't wait to
salted
get another
honey.
One.
I've not seen that.
Honey. It was so good. I've never seen it before either.
Good share.
Yeah. So what about you, Tara? How's your week been going?
Busy, chaotic. But I had some relaxing time this weekend, which was nice. So, in between all the chaos, it's nice to take a little bit of downtime when you can get it.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to capitalize on it right now with the kids and activities and work and all that stuff. But yeah, it's able to get away for a little bit.
That's good. Well deserved.
Yes. And Erin, you were away this weekend too, right? You said you were up north?
Yep. We were up in New Hampshire, and my exciting thing was for the first time I was on one of those dinner trains.
Oh, fun.
And it was really cool. It was in North Woodstock, New Hampshire, and the meal was fantastic. The service was great. We had a really good time. So yeah, it was
that sounds fun.
Cafe Lafayette dinner train.
Very cool.
Wow.
Five course meal. Yeah. It was very cool.
Very nice. And so far we've got a dining train and a coffee shop shout out tonight. That's fantastic.
I have to give you all a shout out for your last episode that I know Tara and I missed. And we should mention too that we are without Lisa tonight. We miss her tonight, but today is her anniversary. So happy anniversary, Lisa and Vin.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Hey. But I thought your episode was great on managing weight gain, and as I was listening to it, I was curious if any of you have tried intermittent fasting, because that's something that I've done off and on and had some success with, and then I feel like it just kind of stops having any effect, so then I kind of fall off a little bit. And I will say it is confusing because one thing you read is, oh, this is great, especially for women in perimenopause or menopause and yada, yada, yada. And then the next thing you read is, oh, but you really shouldn't be fasting in the morning because it causes a cortisol spike and that has a detrimental effect. So once again, it's like the conflicting info, and it leaves you scratching your head as to what you should be doing.
I feel like that is so many things that we discuss and consider and think about doing.
Truly, yes.
Oh, you should really do it. And then the next person says, don't do that. So my question is, what is your period of fasting? Because that's the other thing I get confused about, is like the time frames and the differences and the recommendations. And so I always get overwhelmed and I'm like, oh, forget it. I'm just eating breakfast.
Yeah, I would usually do 16 to 8 generally. Okay. So I'd stop eating at 6 or 7, and actually some days I would stretch it out longer just because of the way my day was going, or whatever I had going on. But generally I would stop eating at probably 7 the night before, and then not eat again until 1 o'clock, 1:30, sometimes 2 o'clock the next day. So it was a pretty small eating window.
Do you feel better when you're doing it? And how long have you gone trying it at a time? Like a month, 2 months?
Yeah, I would say probably about that much time at a stretch. And yeah, it did make me feel better. And then I tried one extended fast of 36 hours. And I made it like 35 hours. And then I had such a headache. And I, despite trying to hydrate and do all the things during it, because, and just in the research I did, they said it's good to, or I should say it's not good to do the same amount of fasting all the time, because like everything, your body adjusts to it and then it has no effect. So you kind of have to keep your body guessing. So if you do, 2 or 3 days fasting, intermittent fasting, and then you do a day where you're kind of eating normally, and then maybe you do a long fast, and then you just trying to keep your body guessing. But it's just a lot to think about, and it adds to an already overloaded mind, at least in my case.
That's an incredible segue to what we thought about talking about tonight. So as if we need one more thing to stress us out and to tax our cognitive abilities, now we're throwing intermittent fasting into it. So I think that's a great introduction to our conversation about cognitive functioning or dysfunctioning, depending on where you fall on the spectrum right now. But yeah, I think the idea was that this age has given us so many challenges, and their hormonal and their aging family getting sick, aging children getting more complex with their issues, us dealing with our own health issues, and then the cognitive side of that of I feel like I'm in a fog, or I feel like I'm overwhelmed, or I feel like I'm stressed or anxious. So how many of those things are real, or a decline in our cognitive function, and how many of those things are the mental side of just us being overwhelmed? So I think it's a great discussion, and maybe something that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, we were losing you a little bit there, Colleen, but I think the gist of what you're saying, I think, was what is what is related to stress, what is aging, when thinking of cognitive functioning and feeling like we're in that fog, how do we know what's what?
Agreed. And Erin, just to circle back a little bit to the intermittent fasting, again, I think we talked about this could be a whole episode. I've been fasting on and off since 2018. And most recently I stopped doing it entirely at the suggestion of a new OBGYN. But I will say back in probably 2018, 2019, I felt incredible. The clarity I had was incredible, but more recently
agreed.
I had the opposite effect.
Oh, really?
So I don't, again, relating back to what Colleen was kind of saying is I don't know if it has to do with the fact that my body has aged quite a bit since 2018, 2019. We're talking like 8 years ago at this point. It goes by so fast, but I think that I wonder if that has something to do with it. It's just that obviously in those 8 years, my body has shifted a lot. There's been a lot of hormonal changes, and I could feel that the cortisol spikes were not treating my body well. And so anyway, I've kind of transitioned out of doing such, but I loved it for the clarity and for the not having to think about one more thing, food. Like I just didn't think about it because I just said to myself, well, it's not time to eat, move on to something else. But anyway,
I'm curious with your OBGYN suggesting you stop doing it. Was it based on science related to fasting, or was it just based on your experience at the time and she said it's not serving you well?
I think Erin said a lot. I think there's just a lot of mixed opinions, thoughts, and studies out there about women and hormones and fasting. And I think you have both ends of the spectrum. And then there's the people in the middle that, it works if you do it right. What is right? And so maybe I was trying to do it for my body that was 8 years ago and that's not anymore. And so maybe it was a personal thing. I should have made some different adjustments that I didn't make. Or maybe it's just no longer suits my body. I don't really know which it was, but I think that there's just some people feel very strongly that it's not very well suited for women of our age and hormonal makeup. And then I think that there are people that, to Erin's point, feel like it could be very advantageous to work something like that in. There's also a lot of things out there about fasting with your cycle and like all this other stuff too, that again, to Erin's point, I did it because it was simple and easy. And I just did this every day and that was it. And to have to work in like, oh, today is this day in my cycle and I have to do it this way. No, out the window. If it is not easy, I am not working it into my regiment. I've never been one to I don't like to count anything that I eat. I feel like it makes the diet mentality kind of go crazy in my brain. So anyway, now I'm back to eating more often and thinking about food more often. And
well, you know what I shifted to? Just straight protein in the mornings, because I would usually have some toast or something for breakfast if I had breakfast. But something that was carby, or like a healthy granola cereal or something that you are under the impression like, oh, this is a very healthy meal. It has all the the nutrients I need and whatnot, and then you learn like, oh, actually having those carbs in the morning just creates sort of a blood sugar spike, and that doesn't work. So I've just been having Greek yogurt with some berries. Although now with this parasite outbreak, they're saying don't have berries. So I don't know.
Berries.
I'm totally thinking to myself, the chances that I've already eaten something in the last 2 weeks,
100%.
It's like, I eat tons of salad and things like that. So it's only a matter of time.
But and going back to what Colleen was saying too, like I feel I can feel when I'm not eating right cognitively. It's one of the first things that goes, like that hangry feeling, we'll call it. I feel like I'm a little bit more sensitive to it in my current age, position, whatever it might be. And maybe to your point, Colleen, maybe it's age, maybe it's just the season of life that I'm in, or I don't know what it is, but I definitely do feel if I don't eat right, I can feel it. Or if my blood sugar dips a little bit, I'm a little bit more sensitive to it, and it affects like my cognitive ability.
Not as forgiving as they used to be. So I would like to point out that I don't remember ever hearing about chocolate or bacon having parasitic outbreaks. So there's that.
Very true.
Let's try the chocolate bacon diet.
There you go.
And with the
Tara,
cognitive thing, I know we're talking about like memory and functioning and things like that. But I know one thing that has been driving me nuts, and I'm very aware of it. I think that's fortunate, but my patience level is shot. Like I just don't have patience for things that I used to have, and I feel myself getting so worked up all the time. Whether it's my kids or just being in a grocery store and waiting in line and watching the person in front of me have like 10 things that don't bring up. Like I used to be okay with these things, but now I feel myself having to talk myself down, like it's all going to be fine, not a big deal. Or you mentioned technology, I think, Erin, I don't remember if it was before we started or after, but you forget a password and you have to go through the next 10 tries to try to get into your bank account. Like those things just almost drive me over an edge now, where I used to just be able to tolerate it and deal with that. So tell me it's not just me.
100%. I feel like there are
just you.
days that my body is in fight or flight mode all day long. And it's just that, like, it's like a hairline trigger for things not going well. And it starts with my patience. 100%. I've never been a very patient person. So it just to have it get even worse is, it's a little jarring because, sometimes, and then I'll end up getting mad at myself and then you feel worse. And now it's like this cycle that, it's hard to break for sure, Colleen.
Lisa mentioned, I think it was on the last pod, that we are sort of a micro generation, the Zennials. Was that on the last pod?
I think that was in the group chat.
Oh, okay.
She shared a video.
That's right. That's what it was. So we were all born in 1977, 76, right? No, 77.
77.
Lisa was born in 78, right? Or am I making that up?
She likes to say that she's the youngest.
But she was just the end of 77.
Yes.
So we span almost a year. I'm the beginning. She's the end, but it's all on the same calendar.
Everyone in between.
Older than I already feel. Woo.
I'm just demonstrating the whole memory issue. Like, when was I born? I don't know, 1970 something. Anyway, from like 77 through I think 83, it's known as the Zennials. It's like a micro generation that was born into analog and then grew up in digital and then was easily able to make the transition from analog to digital. But my question to you is, do you think that we are now seeing the result of that, and like in the form of us suddenly not being able to handle the tech anymore? Our brains are just like, no, this is not how we were made. This is not what we were, used to doing. And you've been doing it for too long. And now you just need to stop because you're losing it.
I identify more so with Gen X. Yeah. But as far as like the technology goes, like I do feel like the swiping on TikTok, or like even thinking back to like when I was dating, the dating apps, there is that just like grab my attention within 5 seconds. And I don't like that, so I don't want to have a 5-second attention span. But I do think somehow the technology is kind of leading us in that direction.
Yeah, I would probably say, Erin, like I look a little bit to my children, and it's, like this now mentality that, everybody has. And I think that there's a little bit of that mixed with my mental state too, like whether I'm at work or whatever, it just, the urgency that I think I already had in my work ethic is sometimes like affected now, where it's like the now. And I think that adds then to my overwhelm that already exists. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's like it's ultra urgency that sometimes is like, wait, am I feel like it ultra overwhelms me. Like ultra urgency is then ultra overwhelming. And I think part of it is probably just me putting it on myself because of that now mentality that just exists everywhere. It's like, do it now, do it yesterday, have it now.
This is why this podcast is so amazing, and this group is so good for me, because I have those feelings privately, and sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. Like I feel myself getting overwhelmed with tasks that 10 years ago would not have overwhelmed me. And I'll know it in the moment. Like, why is this stressing me out? I know that I'm going to get it done. I know I'm capable. I know it's just a matter of time. Like, why am I putting so much pressure on myself, and why am I getting worked up about it? And I think it's all pretty internal, which I think is dangerous for women. We have a really good ability as a gender to hold everything in and look okay. So people around you don't necessarily know what is going on inside. And so you're driving yourself nuts, even though you know that you're capable and you know that you'll accomplish the task, but somewhere along the way, you've just totally stressed yourself out internally, and it messes you up in so many ways. Like, Megan, you and I talk a lot about our digestive system and our GI system. When I get myself worked up, it definitely shows itself that way. I think that's common. I was just talking to my 21-year-old daughter about that this morning, and she is unfortunately following in those footsteps too, where she stresses herself out and makes herself, have an upset stomach. And it sucks. I think, and as we get older, it doesn't get easier. And I think we just stress ourselves out about more things. So I wonder why, though. Like, what changes in us so 10 years ago, this didn't bother me. I could make a list of 20 things and just know I'm going to get it done. And now the same thing will stress me out, even though I know my abilities haven't changed. So what's the difference?
That's a very valid point that I wonder about myself, Colleen, on a regular basis. And then just going back to you're being woman, just taking on so much. Like at work, we say be a duck. Like you have to just float along and look like you're perfectly fine. Meanwhile, your legs are going as fast as you can, and it's like, oh, but the duck's just floating along. There goes the duck, happy. But oh no, that duck's working really hard.
I love that. I've never heard that before. It's really good.
That's so funny.
This might be I don't want to say unpopular opinion, but I would say I don't think for me the ability for me to get overwhelmed has changed all that much. So I'm wondering if it's for you guys that have kids, you kind of just put your head down and got it done because you had to, because there were so little ones depending on it. Like, do you think that plays into it at all? Because I feel like I have always had an innate ability to overwhelm myself and stress myself out. Like I was driving today to the grocery store and I was thinking about work and stressing about it. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to let that go because someday you're going to be retired. And then you're going to have to worry about other problems outside of work, like I was just trying to convince myself, you're always going to find something to worry about. So just stop it right now. But I don't know.
No, you're right.
Do you guys think that could be anything?
I think it's kind of two things. I think, yes, when we have small kids, there's a set of worries, there's a set of things on our mind, things we have to keep track of, things we have to handle, but there's more of an element of control. And then the kids get older and there's a whole new slew. And then you're worrying, especially once they start driving and they're out on their own and you're not there overseeing everything. And I think as women too, we want to feel like we're in control. We're often put in that position where we are supposed to be managing everything. So then we just sort of naturally adopt that role. And then it becomes hard kind of maybe even upsetting, when we feel like we should be able to control something or manage something and we can't. And then it becomes almost like compound interest where we've got our kids we're worrying about, our jobs we're worrying about, and then we cross that line where then we're worried about our parents, our aging parents and what they're doing. And
so it's just
are we
misplacing
the control? Yeah. Or are we misplacing the control, Erin, to your point, when the kids were younger, you could control a lot of what was going on in your household, and the routine, a schedule. And now with older kids or kids that are gone, I'm not, you're not controlling that as much. So where is that going? And is that
but you're also not off the hook. You're not controlling it, but it doesn't mean that they're still not coming to you for, advice and with problems. And so, you're in this strange place where you still, are in that role, but you don't have all the tools that you did, And then you have new
I also,
worries and new
that's
things
interesting,
that are
Megan, because I never really thought about it. But when you talked about like when they were little, so those were, and Erin, I think you just kind of said this too, like those were real worries. And now what I find myself doing a lot, and I never really thought about it in that way, is I do a lot of hypothetical worrying, like the what if.
Mhm.
yes,
And those are almost,
catastrophizing.
they're almost worse. Like when the kids aren't home, like
100%.
what could possibly happen to them? They're not home. They're adults. They get to make their own decisions. Like I am no longer in control, and I know that. But maybe that's worse. Maybe when they're in the house and they're in fourth grade, and I'm worried about their spelling bee, or I'm worried about them, breaking a leg at soccer. Like those are concrete things that may or may not happen, and we can deal with them in a very concrete way. And now the things that we're worried about are hypothetical things, and those tend to go crazy in our mind. Plus, I do think that the hormonal thing makes the hypothetical stuff way worse. Like, I don't think men don't deal with this. I talked to Dan, and he's like, "Why are you doing that to yourself?" And I'm like, "I wish it was a choice. I wish I could say I'm not going to do that anymore." But when I'm laying awake at night thinking about these horrible things that can happen to the people I love, it's just the work. It's awful. But it happens, and I think it's a woman thing.
Yeah, you're no longer laying awake a little worried that they didn't study for their third grade spelling test. You're now worried about the fact, are they safe? Are they going to get home safe? Did they do this safe? Do you know where they are? Are they making the best decisions? Because now they're making them on their own. You may have forgot about the test to help them study for the test, and now the decision making is on them, and so you can think of 100 different hypotheticals in your head. And I do think that I wonder if actually I don't wonder know that our cognitive abilities and ability to, at least my ability to handle stress, feels different than it did 6 or 8 years ago. I think we were talking a little bit about it before the call, and I think this definitely has something to do with it. I was never diagnosed with any sort of like ADD or attention deficit, whatever. I've been told since then that maybe like high functioning anxiety is something that's very similar, like very correlated to ADD. And I say to myself all the time, especially with some of those worrying thoughts, Colleen, that I jump around. Now I'm jumping around between worrying thoughts, and I'm jumping around between things at work. And it's just that the mind bouncing and Erin, I think you mentioned it, the inability to focus. And then when you're jumping around between worries, now I'm 10 times more worried. Now I'm worried about 10 things instead of one thing. Why?
I have lost the ability to survive if I don't make lists. I used to laugh at my mom because she had Post-it notes all over the place. The entire like kitchen wall over the sink, they had like all these Post-it notes. I was like, Mom, and I always had a really good memory, and I could remember my to-do list for the day. I could remember to, tomorrow I've got to get, so-and-so birthday card or whatever. And now if I don't write it down, I either, write it down at work. I've got all the notes on my desk, or I have to put things in my calendar with reminders to pop up and like, oh yeah, it's almost like, oh yeah, I have to put my pants on. And Erin, do you have pants on? I can't tell if I have them on or not.
No, we don't. We would never know. But I do think that what you're saying is it's like we're living in a responsibility snowball where when we were 20, we only had to worry about ourselves. And then when we were 30, we had to worry about ourselves and small children. And then when we were 40, we had to worry about, maybe a parent in there. But now it's like we're worried about our parents, our spouse's parents, our household, our children, our pets, our everything. So we've got like just so much more. And I also
and
think
our futures.
Right. Yeah.
How are we going to retire? Can we retire? What happens? What everything going on right now too? Will the money be there? Will Social Security be there? What if somebody gets sick? It's a lot of.
I've been doing a lot of thinking about that recently because I feel like to this point in my life career, and maybe it's just because I know my kids are just a little bit younger than but I worried about like, I building my career and raising the kids and doing, and now I'm kind of like, I'm almost to that point where now I'm worried about, oh, I don't think I planned enough for what's next. So now it's like, oh, wait, let's pile on another worry about college and what comes after college, not just for them, but for me, like for my husband, for our house, for our household, for all of us together as a family unit. And it's, I don't know. So to your point, yes, Aaron, it does,
absolutely.
and it snowballs.
All of this comes together too, like the 2 pounds per year that we talked about on the last episode. I'm sorry, but that 2 pounds in 10 years looks like 20. And now I'm going to lay awake thinking about that tonight. Thank you very much, Doc.
Exactly.
But
So I always want us to be able to leave our listeners with some sort of an action item or a next step or some kind of something that they can take away, what do we do about this? Like how do you all, is there an answer to this? Are you doing Sudoku or are you doing like brain function puzzles to try to stave off any decline? Are you meditating? Are you having any brain supplements? Like I always joke that I should be taking that brain supplement, but I can't remember
what it's called. And then if you did have it, would you remember to take it without a list?
Exactly.
I could tell you that the spokesperson for the brain supplement that I was interested in that I forgot about until now was Blossom. Do you guys remember that show? Like,
oh my gosh, yes. Was it Salil Moan Fry or something?
No, it was Punky Brewster. Jeez,
shoot. Sorry. See my memory. I'm telling you, I need some of that.
Mayim Bialik?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, just another strange name. Sorry, I got them confused.
Yeah, she was the spokesperson, but I don't know.
Yeah, I do the fish oil thing. I do. Okay. I will say that. I do. I take my fish oil every day. I think we were talking a little bit about it before the episode, before we started recording, that there's a little bit that I feel like probably maybe a year and a half ago, I do feel like my focus and at least my focus was a little bit even more scattered than it is now. Do I blame it on the fish oil? Do I just blame it on potentially maybe an adjustment in getting used to the difference in focus? Because that is one thing cognitively that I struggle with is like focus or being able to completely devote my focus to something without being very easily distracted. Squirrel.
Oh. And just reflecting on like work life from like my very first job to like a job now where you have like Zoom and Teams and like an open office setting. Like I don't have like I have a desk that I share with 5 other people, so like there's just like I've gotten really good at tuning things out, but like I share a desk with 5 people, like it's really, they were having a conversation, they're having a conversation, it's tough. Like there's a lot of inputs.
The world has done a really good job of trying to distract us. Erin, you talked before we started tonight about phones and, the Facebook and the Instagram and the everything is now in your face and everybody's on everything all the time. And I mean, I don't even know if you can call it addiction or just obsession or just that's the way the world is living right now. And if you're not doing that, you're out of touch. So I don't know. But I do think the nature of things is not helpful. And also it doesn't give our minds time to rest. And your mind needs to be shut off sometimes. And I think technology gets in the way of doing that. So unless you're really good at unplugging, which I'm admittedly not, I think that's definitely a culprit.
You can even see that in movies and TV shows. If you watch a movie that's from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, they generally would have this long opening and they'd show the credits at the beginning. And, everything kind of took longer to develop. And TV shows all had the intro songs and and now it's just like right into the thing, and it's bam, 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 and it's fast cuts, and it just everything around us, to your point, Megan, is designed to just distract us and, seemingly keep us unable to focus. And yeah, I find even, I love to read. I've always loved to read, but I don't find myself reading as much. And I find when I do sit down to read, I have to make more of an effort to focus on the page and not, it's very easy for my mind to just wander. And I'm like, wait, what did I just read? And I have to read the same paragraph again.
Absolutely.
Is anyone taking, other than my fish oil, is anyone else doing anything to help combat this? Obviously, Erin, you said reading does help when you can focus on the reading.
I do use reading to unplug and try to focus. And sometimes I'm better than others. And I think in general, just trying to stay active, and, we know that physical health and cognitive health down the road, like doctors are always talking about, do the puzzles, do the reading, stay physically active. So I am mindful of doing those things so that my mind is always busy or active. But other than that, I've not tried any supplement stuff.
Me neither.
Yeah. I haven't either. I tend to always go back to playing music, because I find that the only time that I'm not thinking about a million things and 100% focused on what I'm doing is when I'm playing with my band, or even listening to music. I find if I'm listening to something, I tend to really zone in and want to hear what's going on. And but yeah, like I had that realization one day that that truly is the only time that I'm not thinking a bazillion thoughts at once, and that's when I'm performing.
That's great. And I will say that I think that the world and the society that we're living in puts a whole lot of pressure on every human being, male, female, adult, child. But I think women absorb a lot of that, and again, don't have the healthiest ways of processing and letting it go and feeling okay with things. So I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but I know from, this group that we have that women are pretty amazing and doing a really good job. And I think we all need to give ourselves more credit than we do. And I love that we're kind of getting a network much bigger than ourselves at this point. We've got some great listeners. Erin, you told us a story about one of our faithful listeners. So I'd love for you to mention that story real quick.
Yeah. I was made aware of one of our faithful listeners who is a big fan of the show, who is going through a tough job transition right now. So Lisa, just wanted to give you a little shout out and let you know that the friends are thinking of you, and we're here for you and wishing you well. And I think that this topic that we covered tonight, I feel like we should revisit, because I feel like we just barely scratched the surface. I would be really, really interested in our listeners chiming in either on our social media or sending us an email, because I think this topic of just how we're feeling, cognitively is very important. How can because the thing that worries me is it's not going to get better. Like we're getting older, and we might be having all this trouble now because of all these external factors, but then what about our physiology and our biology and just aging and that whole process? So I feel like we have to do a part 2 to this conversation, because there's so much more that we
1,000%.
Yeah, and I think understand what people are doing.
Correct. I think it would be an even better conversation if the listeners weighed in.
So from now until then, we and our listeners could maybe make some of those lists that Erin talked about, and we'll revisit them on another episode. So thank you everybody for listening. Thank you ladies for always being here. Lisa, we missed you tonight. And to our listener, Lisa, who's going through her transition, we wish you the best. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.